What's up, guys? My name is Sean from White Jade Productions, and today I'm asking a question that I don't think is asked enough, and it's, should you work for free? Now, this used to be an incredibly hot topic on YouTube, and in my experience, I haven't seen anything broaching this topic in a while, so I wanted to address it because I still work for free. After almost a decade of doing some kind of freelance photo or video work or another, I still take free jobs. Sometimes I actually sign up for jobs for free because they're giving me something that might be more valuable than money. And we're going to talk about that in this video and discuss whether or not it's worth it for you to work for free, because this definitely comes to a person by person and job by job basis. Now, the first reason, and probably the most obvious reason you should be working for free, is portfolio pieces. Even if you're an experienced or seasoned videographer or cinematographer, you should probably be looking out for cheap or free jobs that might elevate your portfolio. A lot of times there are students and recent graduates of film school who want to put together short films or spec ads that end up being really, really good. They might be renting gear and putting money into gear instead of people. And if you sign up to work on some of these jobs for free, then chances are you're going to get to work with some great gear and thus put out some great images. So as a DP, you might get to work with an Arri Alexa Classic, a camera you might not get to work with otherwise. Maybe not that expensive, but at least you can say you've worked with Arri. I've personally done this before. I've kind of weaseled my way into working with nicer gear and either not gotten paid for it at all or gotten paid very little, and it's turned out to be very, very worth it. And in this video, I'm actually going to go over some projects that I work for free on that are actually key portfolio pieces for me and some of my best work, actually. Now, the second reason I think that you should be working for free is simply to either stay sharp in your skill or to try something new. Sometimes you might want to work for free if you don't have a lot going on. For example, if you're in between jobs, why not just pick up an extra job just to stay sharp and consistent, and maybe even test out some lighting or camera tricks you want to use on your next job. I find that free jobs allow you to be more creative and allow you to be a little more risky. On a lot of the free jobs that I work on, I will tell directors, hey, I am working for free, so I would like to test some things out. And almost every single time they go, you know what, that's fair. If you're not going to get paid, you might as well get paid in terms of practice. So I kind of get to use other people to practice my cinematography, and I think that's a neat little trick. I like to kind of sneak into any project I'm working for free or very cheap on, just because it can really elevate my game, or at least keep me sharp for the next big gig. There were two student short films I kind of sort of did this on when I was in film school. One I was the DP of, and one I was the cam op of. Now, this first film, Milagro, I mentioned it a lot on the channel. It's probably some of my best cinematography work, just because I spent so much time and effort prepping for this. This was like a 2-year prep process, and I spent hundreds of hours literally manhandling cameras and lights in prep for this shoot. And in doing that, the director allowed me to get some shots that he was like, look, I probably won't use that in the film, but if you go fast enough on set, you can use some of these shots in your reel. And some of them made it into the film, some of them did not, but I got to have what I wanted for my reel, and I continued to bring up these shots all the time. Now, the second film was a film called Red Gloves. It was directed by my friend Enrique, and I did not DP it. I cam opped it, and my deal was, look, I will cam op your film if you let me use the shots in my reel. And he, being the director and executive producer and the actual producer, okayed that. They were like, hey, yeah, sure. You know what? If you're holding the camera, if you're deciding the moves, you get to do that. And there were plenty of times on set where the director came up to me and he said, hey, neither me nor the DP really have an exact vision for how we want the scene to go. Move with the characters. So I started rehearsing with these boxing actors when they were doing their choreography. I was dodging and weaving and moving the camera how I wanted to and practicing choreography with them. That allowed me to get some very cool shots that I can proudly say were my own. I got to decide the lens choice on them. I got to decide the camera movement. The only thing I didn't really do was the lighting there. All credit in that goes to the DP. He did a great job with the lighting, but I did get to practice a different style. And even though I did that for free and I wasn't the DP, I still got to use that stuff in my reel, and that was payment enough for me. Now, the third thing I want to bring up is testing out new gear. I kind of touched on it earlier, but when you get on a film set that isn't paying you, but they've spent their money on the gear, you get to mess with new and cool stuff. This is one of the reasons I went to film school. I went to film school primarily to mess with gear. However, once you get out of film school, sometimes getting your hands back on that gear can be very, very tricky. And if you want to add something to your portfolio that is shot in RAW, sometimes that takes working for free until you can get those higher paying jobs. So I would say if you want to mess with new lights, if you want to mess with new cameras and new lenses, then sometimes working for free on a spec project is the move. Now, my next point is a little bit personal to me. Not everybody is going to feel this way, and I understand that, but I'm going to mention it anyway. And it is to teach or take things slow. I personally do YouTube because I like sharing a lot of the knowledge that I have with other people. I very much enjoy that. I love teaching and I also love learning. So for me, hopping on a film set with people who are less experienced, if I have the time to teach them and go, hey, here's how you do this, here's how you do that, here's why we're doing this, and here's why we're doing that, that just gives me great joy. I love bringing other people up with me. That is very uncommon in the film industry. I'll be honest, most people are very selfish and out for themselves. But where I'm at, and as a Christian, I just feel like I should be bringing people up with me and being supportive. And I try and do that on every project that I can. And I do that a lot on free projects just because these other people are getting paid for experience. So if I'm the key grip or the gaffer or the DP, it is my job to teach them. They're here for experience. I want them to get paid in that experience. And so I think that's my job to do that for them. No, that doesn't necessarily help me out, but it does help me become a better DP because it helps me become a better leader and it helps me become a better person, which I think is much more important. Now, my very last point is, does it pay you in some other way? Whether that's IMDb credits, food, you get to take home a piece of the set. I've seen people take home doors. It's a whole story for another video, but I've seen people take home some crazy stuff. Sometimes you will get paid in something other than money, and that's okay. When I was a film student, I knew a lot of people were accepting payments in the form of IMDb credits because not everybody was making their film on IMDb. Nobody was putting it up there consistently. So when a film was put on IMDb, people would be like, hey, I want to work on your film. That gets me a credit. So when I go to somebody who's hiring for another film, I'm just trying to be a PA or a camera assistant, they can go, hey, look, I have these credits from all of these films. And they might not do a deep dive into your IMDb credit history. They might just go, oh, wow, you have a lot of credits. Sure, you're on. And that's a form of payment a lot of people are willing to accept. Of course, over time, some of those things will kind of dwindle. You don't need to work with the new gear. You don't need the IMDb credits. You don't really care about the set food. You've had Panda Express and those Welch's fruit gummies way too many times to care about a free meal. And that is the moment in which you start charging. I've hit that. Personally, I don't work as much for free as I used to. I used to work on any project and go, hey, pay me later. Worry about money later. If there's no money, who cares? I'll just get me on the set. I don't want to talk money. Just I'll sign a contract to be on the set. Let me go. And that is fine for a time. There is definitely a time and place, especially as a beginner, to be doing that. But as you get more skilled, at some point you have to go, you know what? I have enough IMDb credits. You know what? I worked with that camera. I've worked with those lenses. I don't care to work with that camera. I don't care to work with those lenses. I don't care to work with those lights. And at some point there will be people trying to entice you to work for free and kind of trying to scheme you to get on their set and not pay you just to say, hey, look, we have all this other stuff. You get to work with this person and you get to be around that actor. And sometimes that's worth it, but at some point it's just not anymore. And that's something each and every person will need to take into account for themselves. Real quick before we go, I just want to show a highlight reel of stuff I've shot that I have not been paid for. And I also want to show a few projects that I have been paid for, but it was borderline nothing. First up, we have Milagro. These, again, are some of my favorite shots. I just think they look amazing. They're very moody. They're very me. This is very my style. Here's some stuff from Red Gloves. Again, I was not the DP of this project. I was just a cam op, but I didn't get paid for this, and I think it came out looking amazing. Now, here's some stuff from a SWAT commercial I did. I did get paid for this, but I was not getting paid a lot. I'm not going to disclose how much I was getting paid exactly, but I believe for the shoot day, I got paid less than $35 to shoot it. Like, technically speaking, I got paid borderline nothing. That it wouldn't have even covered the rental fee of my gear, but the shots do look great and I absolutely love doing this. I got to work with SWAT. That was my payment. These shots are from a spec ad me and my friend shot of his Bronco. For the second time, I just literally wanted to test out a new lens. So we went out and shot some horses and we shot the car. Thank you to the farm that let me shoot the horses on. They let me do that for free, which is cool. Normally I would have had to pay money to get on location like that, but they were absolutely awesome and just let me walk around with the horses in the mud, which was great. A little scary with my camera. I did not want to fall and break that, but hey, we got it done. Now these shots are from a music tour I went on just a few months ago. I was not only doing video stuff, but I was actually on tour to play and sing. That was the main thing I was doing, but we did get a contract with the record label to do some live recording stuff. However, a lot of this on the road content was more I wanted to get it, and I was just willing to kind of eat that in my own budget. You know what, let's take a detour, let's get these shots. This is not what I agreed upon with the record label. I think we technically agreed on like getting iPhone footage, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring my Red camera and we're gonna get these cool shots. And that was worth it to me because I got to shoot in some really cool locations. We got to shoot in the beaches of California. We got to shoot up in the Rockies. We got to shoot, here's a shot from Little Rock, Arkansas. I literally got to go all around. We shot in Niagara Falls. It was just super cool to be able to shoot in all those different locations, and I didn't want to pass that opportunity up. So essentially doing extra work and not getting paid for it was worth it to me. If you guys found this video useful or at least interesting, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I've got lots of other helpful tips on how to grow your business. And until next time.